actually go through bind. Jesus Christ, what the hell is my FPS here? Alright, boys. So let's go ahead and talk settings, because I promised you guys I'll talk settings for a while now, and we've already reached the goal despite it saying 178 now, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. We're just going to go through the settings of everything you have in Guild Wars 2, and the need of it. So I'm just going to go through how I feel about settings. Before I do that, let me start by saying if you're like, oh, well, I guess settings doesn't matter to me, I'm happy with my settings and all that stuff, let me make it perfectly clear that the settings that you have in Guild Wars 2 will directly impact your potential as a player. And what I mean with this is, look at this. I'm just going to make an example, all right? Let me just make a very simple example of the allow skill retargeting, okay? We'll use it. So if you don't play with skill retargeting, then as a mesmer, if you are casting the shield 4 block and your target somehow becomes a bad target for the shield 4 block, okay? So let's say that the target's evading. Let's say that the target is in LOS or out of range, anything like that. By not having retarget skill retarget, you've essentially doomed yourself that your shield 4 is going to fail. Your skill is going to fail. The shield 4 is going to connect on the guy who's out of range, dodging or whatever. You're not going to hit it, and that's the end of that. Indeed, before Mesmers discovered before I brought up the jump 4 thing in the metagame, people did not have a good tool against Druid if they were dodging your shield 4, right? Because they would dodge your shield 4, you wouldn't connect anything, and you'd be sad. However, the workaround around this is when you realize that the Druid would dodge your shield 4, you can still do this. You can target the Druid's pet while you're casting the shield 4. And by doing this, you'll still connect the shield 4 phantasm on the pet, making sure that you get the phantasm out at all. Another reason why this is important in terms of like capitalizing on the depth of the play you can make is that you can make mind games about this. You can shield 4 and shield 4 targeting. You look at the target and then you switch target. And what this is going to do for the Druid is you're constantly tab targeting, and he sees you looking at the pet when you're casting the shield 4. This means that he knows that you're not going to hit the shield 4 on him, so he can save his evasion. He knows that you're going to shield 4 on his pet. Okay? Well, you're not going to do that. You're going to switch back to him using the skill retarget, and you're going to connect the shield 4 on him. Because he wasn't evading, you were able to make this play. This shows a single instance of where your in-game settings will allow you to make better and more plays than normal, than if you didn't have this setting. And this goes to a lot of things in Guild Wars, and this is very much included in binds. Now, a lot of people are against the idea of people being elitist with binds. I was one of these people. I was one of the people that were like, it doesn't matter what my binds are. As long as I play good, it doesn't matter, right? Like, let me make it clear. I was an RTS player before Guild Wars 2. I was an RTS player before Guild Wars 2, okay? I played Warcraft 3, I played StarCraft 2, I played MOBAs such as League of Legends and all that stuff. That was where I was competitive before. Guild Wars 2 was my first competitive MMO. Because of this, I had no clue about binds. One of my teammates that I eventually got together with, who was a very highly ranked World of Warcraft player, essentially forced me to change my binds, and then I saw the way. At the start of the game, I remember, my logic was as follows. Because Moa is on such a high cooldown, it was 180-second cooldown, I do not need to bind it to something important. I'm just gonna go ahead and click Moa. And I did. At the start of Guild Wars 2, I clicked Moa. I played with F1, F2, F3, F4. I played with the default settings. I played with 6 on heal. The only thing I basically changed was my utilities. Okay? Now, I've been on the incorrect side of this. So I myself recognize how important it is to have proper binds, right? And what I mean with this is essentially the ability to be more dexterous with your key presses and such. Allows you to make more combos quicker, faster, and all this stuff. You're going to be able to react faster. But it's very easy to say, well, just have good binds, right? It's very easy to just say have good binds. Well, what is good binds? Okay, what is good binds? Well, when we're talking about good binds, we should be talking about the idea of you should be able to access your skills, your abilities, your evasion, everything that you need to access in as easy as time possible. You should not have to make like Drasse, right? Like I've forced him to get away from this because he's basically playing a really interesting setup where he has everything on his mouse, which is fine, and then he plays with arrow keys, which is fine, and then he has like one finger on control and one finger on zero on the numpads and all that stuff, which is fine. And then he randomly has T on target. Now, I don't need to explain why that's retarded, I hope. Like, you should not have T on target, which basically forces you to relocate your entire hand, inhibiting your own movement for a target button so you're not going to be able to do anything else at the time. The same should apply to anything. When you're looking at your binds, you should ask yourself, when I'm dodging, will I be able to move to any direction? The reason why this... Someone just wrote click me daddy with the Moa emote until... Alright, whatever, that tells me. Alright. When you're dodging, can you dodge to any direction? When you're dodging, can you easily access the jump, as you will need to jump dodge? When you're dodging, will you always be able to hit dodge? Like, will you have to move your hand to hit the dodge? Or is your finger always resting around the dodge area? These are all super important. This is why... this is why dodge is one of the first things you need to look at when you're binding your keys. Because if you don't have a good location for dodge, which is like the core of Guild Wars 2, you're never going to be able to be a proper mechanical player. If you're not going to be able to instantly react with a dodge when you need to, you're never going to be able to get good, right? That's just a fact. So, what is good binding, right? What is good binding? Well, there's a lot of things we have to have in Guild Wars 2. Like, there's a nutty level of binds in Guild Wars. There's a lot of stuff. There's also binds that aren't super necessary, but can help optimize certain things. A very simple one that people have asked me all the years I've been streaming. People always ask me, how do you phase retreat so fast, right? Like, people always ask me how I can phase retreat so fast. Well, we just see this bind here, right? We have a bind for about phase. Now, about phase is E, which means I can very easily access it. And at the same time, I have WASD as my movement, and I have 2 as my phase retreat. Now, this essentially means that when I'm moving forward, I move the finger, that the long finger, whatever you call it in English, you move it from W to 2. And I continue moving by holding left and right click. So my movement is not inhibited in any way. I can move the way I want. I can move however I want. And then I move my finger forward. And what happens is essentially this, right? And we just continue moving. And it's just using all these binds. And the same applies to everything. You need to be able to move the middle finger, okay. You need to be able to access everything while you're doing it. Another super important bind is weapon swap. Weapon swap is another thing that you're generally going to want to access, be able to access constantly. The key thing to think about, because there's a lot of customization, you have to find what's comfortable for you, what's good for you, and all that stuff. But the key thing you need to realize, and the thing that a lot of people are missing out in Guild Wars 2 when it comes to customizing yourself to be optimized, is where are your instant buttons? Okay? Where are your instant casts? Weapon swap is instant. Dodge is instant. Right? Shatters are instant. Daze is instant. Distortion is instant. Blink is instant. And because of this, I need to be able to think, if I need to use dodge, blink, shatter, phase retreat, weapon swap all at the same time, then you need to be able to access all of these at the same time if you actually want to use this as a combo in terms of optimizing your gameplay, right? So can you as a person access all these keys at the same time? If not, then you're not optimizing your play. And there's a lot of ways you can optimize your play. I can give you my binds. I can explain my binds. I'm using WASD. Now, if you're basically in the stage where you feel you have enough time to rebind, the godlike thing to do, I don't know what happened to my voice there, but the godlike thing to do is, instead of playing WASD, I would suggest that you play E, F, what the hell is below E? It's D, right? That's D. It's D! That's D. It's D, right? Yeah, it is. So, we basically use these instead, right? And the reason why EFSD, the reason why we use these instead is that you will have more keys that you can access. If you're looking at your keyboard right now, I'm talking about the Swedish European keyboard right now, but follow the same logic, right? Follow the same logic of whatever keyboard you have. If you're playing WSD, you move it to the right, and you look, and why is ESDF better? Well, ESDF gives you more keys that are similarly placed next to each other, right? Just like how you can use F when you're playing WASD very easily, you'll be able to have another key. You're going to have A as one of those keys that are just as easily accessed as F. Just put your hand right now on your keyboard. Instead of having the WASD, which you likely have now, move it one step to the right, and then imagine how easy you can press A, or Q, and W, and all these keys, right? Z even, and all these stuff. Moving these keys to the right is likely optimization. There might be better ways around this and such. However, in my opinion, having more close keys around is definitely going to improve your play a lot. It's going to improve a lot of it's going to give you more options. If you're one of those people right now that you have heal on 6, for instance, you're healing with 6, right? You're on your hands with WSD and then you heal with 6. Realize that you can't walk with WD and play 6 at the same time unless you're crawling around with your hand like a spider. Okay? You won't be able to do it. It's literally impossible. And you're hindering your play. You're hindering the ability of how quick you can be. And I can't stress enough how important binds are. Like, you might think, oh, well, binds are just binds are just small, all that stuff. No, that's not how it works. The fact that I can do this matters. The fact that I can instantly recognize that you're gonna heal, face retreat forward, and daze your heal can kill you. And you would never be able to do that if you had daze on F3. You would never be able to do that with daze on F3 if you try to do this in the manual way, right? So I would try. I'm moving with WASD. I have the default binds. So I will move like this. I will do like this, and then I'll play I will press F3, right? It's impossible. It's impossible. Maybe with enough practice, but you're literally you're shaving off seconds when you're doing it. Moreover, more importantly, look at your hand, right? Look at your hand when you're making all these presses right now. If you have your days on F3, for instance, right? Look at it. You don't have to have an MMO mouse, by the way. We'll be talking about this. I have an MMO mouse, but it's not a must. Anyway, so you press F3. Well, right now, do you have C bound? Do you have Alt bound? Do you have V bound? Do you have anything that's below your WASD? Well, you obviously can't hit that while dazing, right? Right? I store weapon with C, okay? I used to have daze as F3. Now, how would I hit daze and C at the same time? Impossible. You're limiting your options. On the other hand, let's say you have ESDF, you have daze on R, and then you have something on C. Let's say you have dodge on V or whatever, right? You can press dodge, daze, as well as weapon swap, if it's around the binds and all that stuff. You basically cover all your binds and all that stuff. For the same reason, my binds aren't perfect, everyone. My binds aren't perfect. Look at the 5 here. The 5 is imperfect for the same reason. I can't press 5 and C at the same time. I can press it very quickly, because I'm quick, but I can't press them at the same time. It's impossible. It's impossible for me, unless I would move my thumb there in a basically pre-planned decision. But if I move my thumb there, well, my dodge is on Alt. I can't dodge when I'm doing this decision. Okay? I can't dodge when I'm doing this decision. Because of this, my bind on 5 is imperfect. Now, you might think, well, does that really matter, Helseth? Does that really matter? Well, let's look at a small optimization that you can do on one class, okay? Thief. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Thief, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know, maybe this is not the case anymore. We're gonna have to see. Here. Yep, okay. There's still an Aftercast attached to this. Indeed. Let's see here. I can do it a little more clear, I think. What the hell? Did I just not have enough initiative? Alright. Let's chill for a bit. I wonder if there's an Aftercast on this now. There used to not be. Let's go ahead and take a look. The point being, if you have an Aftercast on your 5, this used to have an Aftercast. It might still have. I'm gonna take a look. Yeah, it does. It does. It does still have an Aftercast. So theoretically, this is faster. Obviously, this is faster. So the ideal play when you're pressing 5 is to store weapon immediately after. If you store weapon immediately after, you can instantly follow up with a different action, saving you a very small level of time, which can be relevant in the DP duel, which can be relevant as a dagger pistol thief, because you need to be quick as a dagger pistol thief, right? There's a lot of aftercasts and a lot of skills for a thief. Headshot's another example of it, right? Headshot's another example of it. You just stow immediately after the cast, and you get a small off the cast window. There's a lot of this on many weapons throughout the game. Another example, Druid 1, okay? Like, the Druid's auto attack. Well, Druid's auto attack benefits from you stowing weapon. Do you stow the weapon? If you don't, you're wasting time. Mesmer is another example. Granted, they buffed it a little bit, but it's still better with aftercast spamming, aftercast killing with the stow weapon. Which means that if you, as a player, can't access your stow weapon when you're doing your skills, well, then your skills are less efficient. The same applies. I can't press heal, my F, and 5 at the same time. I can press everything else at the same time, except for my 4 and 5, right? Like, I can press 3 and heal at the same time, easily. I can press 2, I can press 1, I can press all these sorts of things. I can't press 5, because it's the same finger. Right? All these things, you have to plan and think, what are my combos? How do I play? How do I do my combos? What moves do I make? And how can I benefit the most from them? And if you have these things blocking you, the aftercast, mind you, my warrior was so much worse. My warrior was so much worse before I got the Razor Naga. The reason behind my warrior being so much worse, my warrior is top tier right now. My warrior can contest most of the best players in the game right now. I can duel most of the warriors that you guys would consider the best, and I would beat them right now in warrior. My warrior was dreadful a bit before. What happened? Well, one of the main reasons why my warrior was able to improve was because I had binds that allowed me to do the warrior things you need to do faster. I was able to instantly weapon swap. I'm now able to instantly weapon swap, Berserker stance, go into Berserker mode, Berserker stance, and hit the F1 all at the same time. I could do all this at the same time. I couldn't before, because before, if you go into the warrior, before I had shift 3 and shift 2, okay? So for F1, F2, instead I have shift 3 and then shift 2. Now instead I just have it on my mouse, okay? Now, if you just see this as an example, if I'm supposed to hit shift 3 and shift 2 and circumstance immediately after, then I better be quick, right? And I better make sure that I don't need to do anything else during that time, because I sure as hell won't get the chance to do it. I have to fully commit to the action of going into Berserker stance, of hitting the F1 and doing all these things at the same time. And if I don't do them, then I've just wasted my entire hand movement, because I sure can't do anything else during that time, right? So basically right now I have it on my mouse. I can hit this anytime I want, no matter what. Anytime I want, I can hit the F1, okay? Like, I never need to make a commitment to the move. Ask yourself, do I have to make a commitment for my moves? Whenever I need to do something that's important for my class, do I need to commit in a way that makes it awkward? When you play Mesmer and you throw Moa out, do you have to force yourself to Moa, continuous split, and all that stuff in a very awkward manner? One of the things that makes sure, like, people watch my stream, they watch me do Mesmer, continuous split, burst, and they think I'm macroing. They actually think I'm macroing. And the reason why they think I'm macroing is because I'm throwing out all these damage skills. I'm throwing out all the optimized damage all at once. Okay? I'm throwing out the full optimization of Mesmer damage at the same time while doing the continuous split. Then I port back and then I do it again. The reason I can do that, the reason why I can do the full bursts the way I can, is because I've fully binded my ideas around Mesmer. When I bound my binds, I basically think of Mesmer, you know, because I'm the Mesmer, right? So my binds are built around Mesmer. I need to be able to hit every single core skill for Mesmer. And it's not fully optimized perfectly, right? Like, there's always going to be things you're sacrificing with your binds, because you have a limited amount of space. However, it is important that you find the gameplay that fits you the most. What do you want to do? Like, for instance, like this, okay? Can you realistically do all these things? Just as an example. Like, during the continuous split, could you set up all these things? Could you blink after someone, set up the portal, follow them through and all that stuff, and do all these things without fully committing to one of the actions? I didn't commit to anything doing this. It's not like, okay, he's doing the portal now I can't do anything else. I could throw out the Killstorm, I could throw out all the Shatters, I could do everything. without difficulty. The only thing that I'm hampered about when I'm doing all my stuff is because I can't do Chaos Storm and V at the same time. Okay? Because Chaos Storm is on 5, so I can't press Chaos Storm and V at the same time. This is the only lack of optimization that I'm doing. It's a very small optimization because I generally have quickness when I throw out the Chaos Storm, and I can basically play around it. You'll be able to play around the things that aren't fully optimized on your end. But the thing you're looking at is, I could give specific bind keys and all that stuff for each and every matchup, but that would be here then we'd be here forever. Let's not go ahead and do that. Let's not go ahead and sit here forever. What I'm gonna tell you instead is, look at the key skills of your combos, of your class. What do you need to hit instantly? What do you need to do at a specific timing? That's like, I need to do this at the same time. What do you need to be able to combo with it? What are you sacrificing when you're doing Ancestral Grace as a druid? When you're doing your utility as a druid? When you're doing Elite as a druid? What can you not cast during the same time? Can you go Astral Form at the same time as you're, you know, doing something? Like, it's all up to you. You gotta find a way thing. Like, a really important idea is like, yeah, again, the Astral combos are the most important. Like, definitely. And you gotta find your way around it. You gotta find your way around it. But the key thing to think about is instant casts. Because instant casts are the things that, if you can't hit multiple instant casts at the same time, then you're sacrificing optimization the most, right? If you have a 5-second cast time on a skill, then that 5-second cast time is going to be easy to commit to, right? Let's say you have a 5-second cast time, and you have to put something on 5, okay? You have to put something on 5. Then you need to put something on 5 that you're committing to do every single time. When I throw out Chaos Storm, I generally am always throwing out Chaos Storm. The same applies to Shield 5. I'm pretty much always going to Shield 5 when I Shield 5, right? However, sometimes I have to change my mind and I'm doing other things, right? Like, for instance, when I throw out my Warlock, I get blinded now. So then I need to stow it. So Warlock is something I can't commit to. I can't sacrifice my movement, in a sense. Do you have a skill? Let's say that you replace these two, okay? Like, the fact is that I can instantly, if I have quickness and I do Phantasmal Warlock, I can instantly stow it to the point where I won't get blinded. I can't do that as easily with Chaos Storm. I have to move my finger and react. Can you do that with your core skills? If you're throwing out your most important skill, do you have something you can protect it with? If you're a warrior, can you Berserker stance at the same time as you're throwing out your F1? Because if you can't, if you get blinded during F1, how are you going to be able to use your resistance? You're not. You're just sacrificing your F1. That can be the duel. That can be the duel. If you're throwing out your F1 in a warrior mirror, and the enemy warrior throws out his F1, the enemy warrior is going to hit his F1 before you hit your F1, okay? This means that he's going to blind you, okay? He blinds you, your F1 misses, his connects, you're losing the duel now. Now, if you could only hit that Berserker stance before, everything would have been better, wouldn't it? So very quickly looking at these binds, I'm going to go through some more ideas around them. Weapon swap, again, is something you want to have instantly for the same reason that I mentioned before. You need to be able to always weapon swap, right? You need to be able to always weapon swap. Instant cast in general, this is why I have all these things on mouse. These are generally almost all instant casts. And I have them on the mouse for that reason, the fact that I can be able to access all of them right away. Targeting is very important. You need to be able to target to follow up quickly. So you need to have that as close to your setup as possible. Again, I highly recommend switching to an ESDF setup. I really do. Because it's going to make wonders for your gameplay. And yeah, that's honestly, stow weapon is the final really important thing. You need to be able to combo stow weapon with all of the skills that you need to be able to stow. If you're a druid and you're spamming auto attack, well, then you want to be able to stow that auto attack to make its auto attack quicker. If you are a mesmer, then you're going to be able to do that the same reason. If you're a mesmer, then you're going to be able to want to stow your mirror blade because you want to be able to faith cast it in terms of optimized play. There's a lot of depth to binds, and I really recommend that you seriously think about it. You ask yourself the 3 questions. What are the most important keys I need to be able to reach? Skills I need to be able to reach. Can I reach them at the same time as each other? Can I reach them at the same time as I can reach my dodge? And what are the most impossible combination of keys I can hit? And is it worth it for me to not be able to do that? So that's for binds. Now, in terms of camera, you want to have as much visibility potential as possible. I just have my general OCD combination here that I put in. Find your own way to do it. You want camera teleportation so that there's no delay when you're blinking. You want free camera, otherwise the camera will limit your ability to have awareness. As you see, it will force you back when you're trying to look around and such. This will limit your awareness. You definitely want to have free camera. You want first-person camera. This is very important. The reason you want first-person camera is if you're role-playing in Lion's Arch, you need to be able to switch to that quick role-playing mode and go into that Misha as soon as possible. All right? Nah, but really, you don't need first-person. I just have it for role-play, really. And adjust camera to character height. You don't need to have it. Ground targeting instant. Now, this is something that goes from player to player. Not everyone plays it. Draze, for instance, plays the normal one. So it's kind of... there's definitely a debate here, right? I personally feel that with instant cast, you're faster than usual, which means that as long as you're good with the aim, you will always have quicker cast times, which is always going to be better. It's definitely up to you whether you feel like the lack of superior aim will affect you more than the speed. Necromancers, for instance, might want to be able to have the guaranteed marks to know, like with fast with range indicator, for instance. What else do we have? Something that's super important is double click to attack interact. Now, I know for a fact that 99% of you guys don't have this, and this is nutty. So basically, why is double click to attack interact good? Well, double click to attack interact, especially if you're a Mesmer fan, which you probably are if you're on my stream, right? Double click to attack interact allows you to be able to stomp someone or arrest someone on a portal. Now, how many times have you been in a game where there's a guy who's down right here, and he's down on your portal, and you're like, I'm gonna arrest you, and you port. Don't lie, it's happened. It's happened to all of you. My teammates have continuously failed this themselves, where they try to arrest me, or they try to arrest an ally, or they try to get a stomp, and they pour it away. And this is unacceptable, because with this bind, with this setting, you can double click on the body, and it will always prioritize the body. Important stuff, boys. Very important stuff. What else? What else can I mention to you? We mentioned a lot of important stuff already. We mentioned a lot of important stuff. Team colors, all that stuff. Standard enemy models is something that you have to play with, I should add. I know what you're thinking, but my role-playing! I'm called Kirin the Azura Stomper, and I see all these Azuras, and it's role-play, first person. No. No. No! We're not fighting Azuras! We're not going back to the dark ages of 2013 and fighting Azuras again. It was a terrible time for us. We clawed through it, and if you're one of the scumbags that are fighting Azuras with Kudzu, then you deserve to get hit by every single pin down in the history of Guild Wars, okay? Like really, the animations of Azura and legendaries and all that stuff is not going to work for you. Like don't have standard enemy models, okay? Have standard enemy models. It's gonna do good for you. It's gonna do good for you. That's about it. If you're playing double tap to evade, then I honestly don't know how you were able to access this video. Like, aren't you the type of person who has Internet Explorer, who instantly, accidentally adds like a million different ads and all that stuff that you just put in on the browser, and then you can't access a single page because your computer's been filled with viruses because you tried to install Sims? Like, how do you even breathe with double tap to evade? How do you even live with that stuff? Like, are you a person? Do you exist? There's many questions I have in my mind. Two more things I want to bring up. One is auto attack. Auto attack is kind of up to you. I kind of have it on a class to class basis. If you generally want to spam auto attack left and right, you can have it on. I personally don't like having it on Mesmer, for instance. A benefit to having auto attack on is that you don't need to stow. And let me show what I mean with this, okay? So I'm casting auto attack, and then I cast the Warlock, and you will see that the Warlock instantly aborts the auto attack, right? And this is not as much of a thing, I believe, unless they've changed it. No, exactly. You're gonna have to learn how to stow your auto attacks if you want to play without auto attack, right? Because I do it like this, right? You just stow, and then you press a different skill, and it's fine, right? Nothing difficult. It's entirely up to you. There was a second point I wanted to bring up, but I don't really remember what it was. Yes, interact. Don't have stomp on F. Don't have stomp on F. Like, F is the most Craigasm bind you can have out there. Now, if you're playing ESDF, you're having it for your movement, fair enough. But if you're playing WASDF and you have F on stomp, then realize that you're using the golden child of binds to have something that you're fully committing to do anyway, right? You could have a much inferior bind for stop, right? You don't need to have it on F. Now, I'm not telling you to not have it on a good bind, because you need to be able to instantly rest and all that stuff. But F is like the ultimate bind, you know? F is what you want steal, or you want your 5, or your heal, or all those kinds of kills, okay? So don't have stomp on F. The only time you can have stomp on F is if you're an NG, okay? Because then all you do is press F anyway, okay? So yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys learned something from this little nonsense. I want to go ahead and, at the end of this, thank you, Bravendom, for the sub. I really hope you're around. I'm sorry for not addressing the fact that you subscribed 30 minutes ago. Thanks again, dude. I really appreciate it. I was really just didn't want to get distracted, right? So yeah, this is going to be on YouTube, so I'll just mention there's always going to be a difference between peasants and kings. I'll see you guys later. And that's it. That's the video. What's up, everyone? How you doing? We're actually going to be streaming now. Now, what do we do? Do we do a horror game? Let's do one final queue, because we got a lot of people that joined during this time. We'll do one final queue, and then we'll be going back to the horror games. That's what's up. Horror game after this.